Good morning, afternoon, and evening, wherever you are, and welcome to another NerdTube Dragon Ball video. We are back here. Today we are talking about, we are going to be doing a tier list for all the Dragon Ball sagas. Dragon Ball OG, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super, and also Dragon Ball GT. Ooh. I am joined, of course, by my Z Fighter in arms, Major Rage. How you doing?
Doing great. Proud to be here. My excitement's over 9,000.
Speaking of over 9,000, let's go into the tier list. And as you can see at the very top there, we have it's over 9,000, which we know it's 8,000 before you get in the comments and say, oh, that's a mistranslation. Yeah, we know, we know, but it's funnier that way. Mother Hubbards, geez. Anyway, and then going down the tier list, we have Krillin, which is the strongest human, fight me. Tien Shinhan, which is just underneath Krillin, probably, but still pretty strong. Yamcha, which is, and then ones that we didn't watch slash read, which would be the mangas. Now we are not, and that brings up a good point. We are not talking about the mangas here. We're not saying, oh well, that part was actually not in the manga, it was in the anime. Yeah, we know there's filler. We know we've read it all. Like we've read it all. We know that there's filler that's in the anime that's not, but we are talking about the animation right now. And on this tier list right now, they do have the Moro and Granola arcs at the end. So when we get to those, we'll probably talk about them. But right now the Granola arc, as of this recording, is not finished. So we'll get to that when we get to that. So that all being said, you ready to dive in, Mage?
I am. Let's get to it.
All right, we start off at the OG with the Emperor Pilaf saga. And so Emperor Pilaf saga, I believe, was episodes 1 through 12 or 13, if I remember correctly. He's the OG Garlic Jr. I mean, I don't know what else to say, but this is the one that started it all. This is the one that Goku met Bulma and Yamcha, and they went on their little road trip adventures. And Goku was taking panties off of Bulma, and I mean, they met Oolong and Puar, and oh my, this is the beginning. We also get to see the first ever transformation in Dragon Ball, which is the not golden, sorry, the giant Uarzu transformation. And I always mispronounce it, but I know it's grade 8 form, whatever. I'm trying to be authentic to the Japanese release here. Uzaru, yes, I always mispronounce it, but yes. So I there's a great deal of respect that I have for this saga, only because it started it. It was just a fun little romp. In hindsight, we know that it's not that great compared to the other stuff to come. But as it being the first trend setting, also we got to meet Master Roshi. We got to see the Kamehameha for the first time. We got Ox King, Chi Chi. I mean, everything's in there. I mean, and I'm sure I'm forgetting some things. So for me, I'm probably going to move that we put this at the Krillin line. I wouldn't say that it's super awesome, mega fantastic, but I feel like when Akira Toriyama is at his best, he really does do a really good job at what we call filler. And this saga honestly feels like a lot of filler, but it's kind of the OG Dragon Ball. They didn't actually get into the Pilaf stuff until later on in the episodes. So, I mean, a lot of this does feel like filler, but honestly, I feel like Dragon Ball started as filler and then became this big saga episode, like this big saga serialized thing when it got more towards like the King Piccolo saga, in my opinion. Well, maybe even the Red Ribbon. But yeah, so I'm going to move it for Krillin. Major Rage, what would you put it at?
I also vote for Krillin level.
Right.
This is Toriyama was great at gag manga, and this was him moving into an adventure manga as originally conceptualized. So, the joke parts of this are great. The adventure parts are good. It lays down a lot of lore. Like you said, there's so many characters that are introduced here.
And they stick around too. I mean, I
They
know
do.
the joke, except for Launch. I mean, the Launch is always the joke that's like, where did Launch go? But Launch is, I think, the only character out of all this that didn't stick around. I mean, you at least see Oolong and all them through Super, like through the parties and all that other stuff.
I believe Launch, I believe, is early tournament saga.
Oh, is she? Oh, you are correct. You are correct, my friend. I am sorry.
No, no need to apologize.
Yes,
Um,
because he tasked Goku to go find him a lady, and he brought Launch.
mm,
So
that's
you are
correct.
100% correct.
But I can't put this saga at over 9,000 level just because he hadn't hit his stride yet. Toriyama hadn't really figured out how to write a fighting and adventure manga. He was still, at his Dr. Slump roots.
Hmm.
And there was a reason why it was in trouble. And, you know, the next tournament we're going to get to, kind of, it's been said that the tournament saga saved the show, or the manga at least, and led to us getting a show. But, there's just a few problems with kind of pacing and hitting his stride, but it's great stuff. I think we left out uh King Rabbit.
Oh, and King Rabbit. As I said, I know I forgot stuff. King
Can't
Rabbit,
forget King Rabbit, man.
the most powerful character in Dragon Ball. King Rabbit. He could just walk up to Majin Buu and turn him into a carrot. Or actually, yeah, he has to touch him, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So
That
if he can get close enough to touch Majin Buu, he could have turned him into a. If he could get close enough to touch Beerus, he can turn him into a rabbit.
Have they ever managed to get off the moon? I want to know. I hope they address it in the manga at some point.
That would be funny. That would be a good filler, like, or even like a just a. I don't. Oh, that would be a good Pan filler for the future. Like Pan gets
Pan
Pan
goes to the
accident.
moon and kicks King Rabbit's ass.
We could
I
see
want to
it.
see it now.
We could see it. All right, so let's move on to the tournament saga. So for this one, this is the first tournament in all of Dragon Ball. So I mean, mad respect. Great fights in this tournament. The build up was great. Obviously, the training with Krillin and Goku and Master Roshi is iconic in all of Dragon Ball and everything like that. Um, uh, I do have an issue putting it at its over 9,000, only because like all of the earlier stuff is great. I do believe that I do believe that like the training and Master Roshi stuff, if that's what it was, it's over 9,000. I just some of the characters in the tournament really irked me, and I think who I'm going to talk about is Nam, and I know that this is or not Nam. I'm sorry. Oh, what was her name? The girl who fought Nam. I don't remember her name, but anyway,
Pon fan?
Pomfit. Yeah, maybe. That really. How did she? Okay, she strips on the stage, and that's how she tries to beat Nam. How did she get that far? We didn't even see her fight. Like I could see if she like put up a decent fight, but like I don't that part and I mean Giran was okay. Obviously Goku and Roshi was great. Krillin Roshi and Yamcha was okay, or not Krillin and Yamcha. Well, I'm sorry, Jackie
Jackie
Chun.
Chun.
Yeah, Jackie Chun and Yamcha was okay, but this also went with the trope of Yamcha loses in the first round always. That's where this started. Um, Krillin and Bacterian was okay. Like I get why it's funny, but it was kind of like this is kind of dumb, so I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. So that's my only reason for not wanting to put it in. It's over 9,000, just because I do have some issues with some of the matches in there in the actual tournament. Nam was great. I liked Nam, and I like the whole arc with him and Roshi, or I'm sorry, Jackie Chun. They should be separate people, right? That's what they tell us. Um, and am I leaving anybody out? I think was this
I
Manwolf? Was Manwolf in this one?
Manwolf,
Yeah.
yep, because Manwolf was saved by Roshi destroying the moon to undo Goku's Uzaru in the final match.
No, that was actually that was the next tournament, wasn't it?
No,
No.
no, that's this one.
Okay. Well, I'm trying to remember now. Anyway, but okay, so I am going to move to put it at Krillin, but I will if you want to put it at it's over 9,000, I will concede. There might be some of these tournaments down the line where I might call in my favor, but go ahead and let me know what you think. Major Rage.
The first martial arts tournament arc still held some of those Toriyama gag manga influences, and that's what leads to a lot of these wacky fights that you were talking about, like Ponfan and the Bacterian fight.
Mm-hmm.
Krillin doesn't have a nose, so he can't smell Bacterian. It's all played for jokes, and Toriyama was still learning how to write a martial arts manga and anime. So I say it's a fair ranking to put the first tournament at the Krillin level. We get better fights, kind of more epic fights uh, out of the next tournaments. We can't. This is not to diss the Roshi versus Goku fight.
Even
That was
Roshi
great.
versus Krillin was really because even Roshi was surprised at how good Krillin was.
Mm-hmm. And we didn't get Goku versus Krillin yet,
Yeah.
though.
By the way, the Man Wolf one was 22nd. I was I was wrong at
Really?
first, but yep, it was. It was the first tournament was the first round was Krillin versus Bacterian, Jackie Chun versus Yamcha, Nam versus Ranfan, and Goku versus Giran. So, and then second final was Krillin, Jackie Chun, Goku, and Nam, which was a great fight, by the way. And then Goku and Jackie Chun. So, Man Wolf was not until the 22nd. So, I stand corrected.
That's right. He was mad because the moon
Mm-hmm.
got destroyed.
From the last tournament, which was what, 5 years prior, I think? Wasn't this one 5 years? Or was it 3 years?
This is back when they were just 3 years apart.
Okay. Okay, so anything else to add about the World Tournament?
I just, I feel like we didn't talk about the Goku and Jackie Chun fight enough. Just that one's really epic. The fact that you see so many techniques, unique ones out of Roshi that we don't see again until the Tournament of Power.
Yeah.
And, alongside the gags with early Toriyama, you had unique mystical type powers.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's something that we don't see enough in Dragon Ball. For a while, he got focused on big beams and big muscles, and all that. But this is where it came from, but not quite high enough to be over 9,000.
Yeah, and as I said, this is not to knock the World Tournament. Just there's so much better to come that it kind of knocks this one down a bit, and that's so I mad respect for it. And if it was all based on respect, it'd be up at over 9,000. But I just, as I said, some of the gag stuff just didn't sit with me, at least with me. Now, I mean, some people love that gag manga stuff, and that like, oh man, all you want is fighting in this tournament. You don't want any fun, and it's kind of like, well, it is a tournament of fighters, and and some people are like, oh, but you need the comedy. Okay, I see that point, but for me, it's more like I kind of want more of the serious fighting. All right, so moving on to the Red Ribbon Army Saga. This is where Dragon Ball really hits its serialization point, because as you can see down below here, we have the this is kind of where things kind of get hairy with the sagas, because the Red Ribbon Army Saga, the General Blue Saga, and the Commander Red Saga, I consider that all the Red Ribbon Army Saga. I don't consider that. I really don't consider that to be separate. I know that some people do consider it separate. I know that, maybe that there's some kind of alpha canon out there that says that it's separate, but for me, from the moment that they start the Red Ribbon Army saga all the way up through the Commander Red's end of the Commander Red saga, which actually shouldn't be called the Commander Red saga because technically it ends with what is it, Colonel Black, right? That whole thing is the Red Ribbon Army saga for me. So I don't think we're going to break this down individually. I think we can just talk about the Red Ribbon Army saga as a whole for me.
I second the motion.
I really like the Red Ribbon Army saga. I think that the Red Ribbon Army saga is, as I said, Dragon Ball kind of hit its stride, and I know with the combat, and Goku literally dissected an army in this saga. I really feel like him, going through Muscle Tower, and then all of the General Blue stuff, with the pirate base and. God, there's so much going on. And then he literally goes to Red Ribbon HQ and dissects the army there and defeats Colonel Black to destroy the Red Ribbon Army. A lot of friends made along the way. Who can forget Ader? Who can forget the fights with Mercenary Tau, Corrin's Tower. All that stuff. All that stuff was in this saga. Like that, there was, you met Yajirobe, I believe, in this saga, right? No, Yajirobe.
No, not yet.
Yeah,
that will
Yajirobe
be Piccolo, King Piccolo.
Yeah, and then but he meets, at Corrin Tower. Yep. I was trying to think of her name, or his name. Actually, it's a he. But. It's just like, and it ends on such a good note where it's like Tao kills, Toppa's father, and then Goku gets the Dragon Balls to wish him back. Like Goku doesn't even know why he's gathering the Dragon Balls. Well, I think he's looking for the 4-star ball, but halfway through this saga, he gets a purpose to collect all of them. And it's so well done. And as I said, it's a slow burn, but it's so well paced, in my opinion. I want to move this to be it's over 9,000. This is the saga that really got me hooked on Dragon Ball, not Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball. Because the first two, I was like, okay, this is cool. Get to see where everybody comes from. The Red Ribbon Army saga, where I was like, hell yeah, like I'm in. What do you think, Mage?
I concur. It's over 9,000. This is the arc where the adventure and the martial arts aspects come together to kind of meld into a cohesive package and product. And there's so much lore set up here. We see the ramifications of Goku dissecting the Red Ribbon Army to this day, to the movie that's coming up soon. Gamma 1 and Gamma 2 are Red Ribbon androids.
17 and 18, 16, 13, 14, 15 if you want to include them.
This sets up a lot of key lore that has ramifications and impact later on in the series. And, Pilaf and the tournaments, not so much for setting up key lore down the line. The tournament's always a fun spot to go back to that kind of breaks up and puts a divider in between the arcs, especially the early ones. But original Dragon Ball was about the spirit of adventure and collecting the Dragon Balls. And Z is about epic fights for the fate of the Earth or bigger stakes.
Yeah. I also want to stand corrected. I know that we do have the what is it? The tournament. What is it? The Fortune Teller Baba. Yeah, the Fortune Teller Baba saga, which is a tournament. I kind of do consider that separate, even though it that's how they find the final ball to wish Upa's dad back. But But yeah, I mean, I guess we can separate that. The other thing is noteworthy is the Red Ribbon Army Saga has been involved in every single different iteration of Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball GT, and now Dragon Ball Super.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, they've been more involved than Frieza. Frieza's been involved in three: Z, Super, and GT. But the Red Ribbon Army has been in all of it so far. And I'm not talking about like, Android 17 and 18 showing up, like after they become good guys. I'm talking about in a villainous role. They have shown up with the Super Android 17 arc, with obviously with Dragon Ball Super Superhero, and then the Android Saga and Cell and all that. So they have had pretty major. I would say they've had more impact on the series than Frieza even. I'm not gonna lie.
No, you're right.
Okay, so you're okay to move on?
I would put the Fortune Teller Baba saga with the up there and include it.
Really? I was gonna say that one I'd put in TN. I thought it was a not needed because we were just going to get a tournament soon after that. I mean, if you really want it up there because it's technically a part
I
of the,
see.
I
I
guess.
thought we would just include it as part of the Red Ribbon because it concludes an event that happened in there.
Okay. Well, in
And,
that case, I
but
would say that that's a moment when the Red Ribbon Army saga took a dip for me because I I thought that this was, as I said, they had a whole nother tournament coming up in the near future. I did enjoy the Grandpa Gohan moment with Goku. In
that's
that,
why I want to put it so high.
um,
That and the showcasing of Toriyama's love for Hollywood movie monsters.
yes, but I honestly would have preferred it just to be a fight. Like it just would have been a one-on-one fight between Goku and Grandpa Gohan, or a Iron Man match where Grandpa Gohan fought Yamcha, Krillin, and Goku, but then he kind of fights Yamcha, beats him, fights Krillin, beats him, and then he goes to Goku, and then I think he beats Goku too, doesn't he? Or does Goku win? I don't remember, honestly. I'm trying to remember.
He he beats Goku, but only by grabbing him by his tail.
Yeah, that's right. I think he rips it off, doesn't he? Isn't that one of the parts where he rips it off?
Yes. He's like, "Here, you'll be better off without it."
Yeah. So I feel like this, if the Fortune Teller Bob was part of Red Ribbon Army, I still won't move it from its over 9,000 just because the way that it ended the Red Ribbon Army saga with Upa's dad being wished back was amazing and awesome for a climax for a saga. But the tournament itself, I just kind of wish would have been like, as I said, either one on one Goku versus Grandpa Gohan with the mask, or it would have been like an Iron Man match where Grandpa Gohan kind of, just beats Yamcha, beats Krillin, and then beats Goku. You know, and I don't think those fights needed to be more than an episode long. I don't think it needs to be a drawn out thing. Like.
No, you
Yeah.
can put it with Ten Han. It doesn't jive as well with the rest of it and does kind of make it awkward to have a tournament again
How about
next
that?
arc.
I'll put it. You want me to put it in Krillin so it's in between?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. Okay. So moving on. One of my favorite sagas of all time. So you know where I'm going to try to put this one. The Tien Shinhan saga. Now I know that there's a bit of buildup in this saga where they meet Tien Shinhan and everything like that. In and I believe that there's some other filler in this saga, but leading up to the 22nd Budokai Tenkaichi, I can never say it right, tournament. This tournament for me is apex. It is the best tournament in Dragon Ball. I know, the Piccolo, the 23rd, everyone says is the best. I disagree. Goku versus Krillin, Jackie Chun versus Tien, Chaozu versus Krillin, Goku versus Tien, for criminy sake. There are so many good fights in this. And you see everybody coming back. I mean, there's so many good fights in this tournament. Um, I feel like, because in the later tournaments, it does feel like you were saying it's more big, more explodey, more big power ups and levels and destroying the ring and everything like that. Where it's like with Tien, it's like, you get some of that stuff, but it's like it is a technique versus technique, but they're not like huge, massive techniques. You know what I mean? So this tournament right here, and I mean, what does it boil down to? Goku can't fly at this point, and Tien can, but they are at their they're at their bare bones power. And what does Goku lose by? A bus. He literally gets hit by a bus to lose this. And honestly, I'm happy he lost, because that motivates Goku even more to come back for the 23rd and to try to win. And there's so much good. And then the crane, the crane,
Hermit.
the crane hermit school, and going against the turtle hermit school, and there's just so much good stuff in there. It is amazing. I love it to death. Major Rage, stop me before I keep going.
No, let's put it at over 9,000. We see, we get the first real heel to face turn when Ten Shin Han and Chiaotzu defect from the Crane Hermit School and decide that they don't want to be motivated by greed and hate in their martial arts. We get a lot of really good fights. They're serious fights. That's not gags like in the first tournament. We see a lot of techniques that will come back, and we'll see them again later. The flying for the first time, the Bukujutsu, and that becomes intrinsic to what Dragon Ball is. But like you said, the loss by a hair, that was an even match, and such a good fight to watch. And you're absolutely right. Losing the match was good for Goku's development.
And it wasn't even a matter, and it kind of shows us it's like, and I know we'll get into power levels later, but it's like power levels don't matter. It's the circumstances, and that's what I always don't understand with people. Oh, well, this person's power level is higher. Yeah, but what about the circumstances?
These lower power level fights come down more to technique and strategy, and they're more entertaining to watch because of that. And the slightly slower pace lets them put more actual halfway pseudo-realistic martial arts aspects and spins into it.
And also the death of Krillin, because technically I think it's at the end of this saga, not the beginning of the next. I think the death of Krillin is technically in the last episode of this saga, and that's a cliffhanger. Like that, and this is back before. Like, I know that they had wished Upa's dad back with the Dragon Balls before, but at the same time, it's like we had, that was a pretty jarring moment. I can't imagine. Like, I wish I would have watched Dragon Ball, then Dragon Ball Z, because I know in Dragon Ball Z it's like Krillin dies, you wish him back, blah blah blah. We had heard all that trope before, but right now in Dragon Ball, it's like, holy shit, they just killed Krillin. So
the first chronological death of a major character. And I agree. I wish I had had access to the original series before. I only got to see the Harmony Gold dubs of the movies for the original series, so not any of the actual content.
Yeah, and I mean, the rage in Goku's face, like, I'm trying to remember a point before in this, like previous to this chronologically, when Goku had that kind of rage in his face. Like, he was out for blood when, after he ran off. And I mean, and I know that kind of leads into the next saga, but that was also, in my opinion, a turning point for Goku, because I don't think he had ever felt that kind of rage before. I'm trying to remember if there was ever a point, because mostly Goku's happy-go-lucky. He hadn't had to deal with loss of like a really good friend. People had lost before, but he's like, oh man, that stinks, But no, like, this was like he was out for blood when he ran out of that tournament stadium, and I mean he was going to get it. Okay.
And,
Oh, go ahead.
no, and then they did get it, and the Piccolo saga
Mm-hmm.
started.
Okay, so unfortunately, like the for me, Dragon Ball had like kind of like an incline and a decline. Now, I'm not saying that the Piccolo saga was bad, but it did start to get into the more fantastical, big, epic fights that you kind of see in Dragon Ball Z. And I know it's the proper evolution of things leading up to what they were getting to, but watching it, the King Piccolo saga was, and Pilaf is coming back, Krillin's dead. Throughout the saga, Chaozu dies, right? Chaozu dies, yeah.
Chaozu dies, Master
Master
Roshi
Roshi,
dies.
and Krillin's already dead. So this is kind of where they're like, hey, we're just going to keep throwing deaths at you to try to, and that I do have an issue with that because I'm like, they're trying to establish King Piccolo's dominance, and also this is kind of where Dragon Ball started the trope of, all right, well, we're going to have the new baddie beat the old baddies, which would have been Master Roshi, who wasn't a baddie, but like he was a measuring bar for Goku. So he beats the crap. So Master Roshi, and also Chaozu, and then he beats the crap out of Tien. So I do feel like that it did take a dip at this point. I also feel that I don't know. I mean, they also kind of, and this is kind of the original Moro thing where it's like, he just wishes to be young and then he gets a super big power up. And okay, I see that. He meets Kami, but to get more training to beat Evil King Piccolo. And I don't, go ahead, mate. I'm kind of scatterbrained on this one because I always remember watching this saga and just being like, but is it really that good? Like,
well, he didn't meet Kami yet. Or at least not till the very end. Because he's
no, was it the very end? Okay.
yeah, he had defeated King Piccolo, and so, I mean, he freaked out. He thought it was King Piccolo back when he first saw Kame.
Gotcha.
Um, you know, I don't think this the King Piccolo arc was different. It's kind of like the Empire Strikes Back of the original Dragon Ball series.
It's actually funny
It's
you mentioned that. I'm actually not a huge fan of like I think Empire Strikes Back is good, but like I'm actually not a fan of Empire Strikes Back as much as Return of the Jedi. So that actually tracks as to why I wouldn't like this saga as much as like something else. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
oh,
I just found it funny you said that.
I mean, they're down and out. They're losing. They're on the ropes, trying to hold it together. Uh, but this starts kind of some of the tropes that we'll see for the rest of the series. Wait on Goku to show up and save the day. Just kind of weird mystical power up in the form of the sacred divine water.
We also get Yajirobe, one of the best characters in Dragon Ball history.
No, it's good stuff, and I mean Demon King Piccolo is a really good villain, but I don't think he's a strong enough villain to carry some of the pacing issues that this arc had, and like the chasing down his children and fighting his way through lieutenants. I mean, Goku with the exception of the one fight against Tambourine, he just tore through all of them.
Yeah.
So I think there were some pacing issues there, but Demon King Piccolo is a really good villain, and it's set up for down the line to establish, Ma Jr., the Piccolo we know today. He's one of my absolute favorite characters.
Okay.
Where are you thinking of putting it?
I would put it at Tien Shinhan, but I mean, where would you like to put it?
I'm okay with that. We
Okay.
don't have anything there yet, and I mean, something has to end up there.
Well, I was also if you said Krillin, I was going to call in my favor from. Oh no, wait, no, actually I can't because we put Baba in the middle of what we wanted. So never mind. I couldn't call in a favor. Never mind. But yeah, I think I feel like it was a bit tropish and a little bit I agree with you. Okay. Moving on to the final arc of Dragon Ball. We have the Piccolo Jr. saga, which is also the 23rd World Martial Arts Tournament. I'm just going to call it that because I don't want to butcher the actual name of it in Japanese. I'm sorry. I don't like doing that. Mage, I'll let you start with this one. As I said, there's kind of a slope here, and you go ahead and lead us into this one.
Um, this is where we see Goku age up, and it kind of introduces you to the form, kind of it's in between, the modern Goku you get at the beginning of Z. That's what most of us were introduced with the character as. But so he's starting to look like what we know and feel like the Goku that we know when we get here. Um, but this tournament doesn't have as many fights that are actual even matches as the 22nd tournament. I mean, the whole, Kami showing up as hero
Mm-hmm.
and, trying to talk to Piccolo Jr. and, all that stuff. It's a couple of the matches aren't real matches because of the presence of Kami. And that
They
makes
kind of go back to the gag mentality when it's like hero versus Yamcha.
that, yep, have a gag fight there. We have a whole fight that's nothing but exposition. Uh, the one good thing about that expository fight, though, I mean, you see kind of like the alien language. It sows the seeds for, you know, uh, Kame and Piccolo being Namekians, and by extension, sets up the possibility of Goku having weird origins other than just being a mysterious monkey boy.
Yeah.
Uh, but not as far as a Raw tournament, not as good as the 22nd tournament arc. Um, the final match was really good, and it, like you said, this whole Piccolo arc as a total is a natural evolution to the big, over the top beam battles, destruction of environments that became a staple of Dragon Ball. But it kind of
Contrived, in my opinion.
contrived. I could see that. I just maybe straddles the fence too much. It doesn't sell it enough compared to the other material.
Yeah. Um, yeah, and I mean, some of the things that really annoyed me was, Goku versus Chi Chi, like anonymous. Um, I don't know if the one that you were talking about was the Mercenary Tower versus Tien, which was all exposition. That one was okay, but I mean, it was very clear. Like this tournament really set up the clear gaps in power between people because Tien was leagues above Mercenary Tao at this point, and then Goku was leagues above Tien at this point. So we had already started to see those gaps develop where it really wasn't even that much of a fight. And that kind of I understand Goku being more powerful, but they made it seem like Goku was like leagues above Tien at this point. And I didn't like that because I'm like, make him work for it. And I know that the finals was where Goku worked for it, but I don't know. I mean, even Piccolo versus Krillin, like Piccolo was surprised. He's like, holy crap, I gotta take this guy seriously, you know? And I really and Krillin's one of my favorite side characters, of all time. I know he gets crapped on a lot. But I really enjoyed the fact that that Piccolo was surprised by how powerful Krillin was. But yeah, and then you get into Hero and Yamcha. That's a gag fight, and it's just stupid. Goku versus Tien was almost laughable. And I enjoyed the parts of the fight that were good, but like in the end, it just seemed like Goku was like, yeah, I could have beat him probably any time. Like he was more playing around with Tien. And then Hero versus Junior was also like an exposition fight.
That was the one that I was talking about.
Yeah, and I mean it's and then the finals. Yeah, the finals though did mirror, although reversed, a lot of the the 21st tournament, where it was instead of Roshi having to deal with the giant person, now it's Goku having to deal with the giant Namekian, which he didn't know was Namekian back then. But like, so I mean there were a lot of parallels of the first tournament in that aspect. So I will settle on this one being at Krillin, just because there was some of the training aspects of it was really good. I think, unless you consider that under the King Piccolo arc, I think it was still the Piccolo Jr. arc, because once Piccolo Jr. was born, I think is when the Piccolo Jr. arc started.
Can we talk for a second about how dark his early days are?
Who, Piccolo Jr.?
Piccolo Jr.
Yeah.
That poor old couple find the egg and he hatches, and they're like, "Oh, we have a little green son," and then he sets their house on fire.
Yeah, no, it was dark as hell. I totally forgot about that, but yeah, no, and I mean they were setting up Piccolo to be this really evil character, even probably more than Piccolo Senior. You know what I mean? Like, it's almost crazy to think that because after I remember watching that, I'm like, wow, this guy got a redemption arc. Like,
no, it's probably, I mean, the heel to face turns escalate consistently through Dragon Ball, and just more and more atrocities are forgiven as you go on.
Yeah. So where would you put this one, Mage?
Let's put it at Krillin, just because it sets up so much of the lore and bridges the gap between the original and Z, but it does suffer from heavy-handed jobbing, like you were saying, with the power gaps starting to show up, and half the fights are either exposition or gags.
Okay. Well, what we're going to do here is we're going to call this part 1. And so we are going to call it here. Next time, we will be going into Dragon Ball Z. So with all that being said, everybody, please leave a comment and a like below. Let us know what you think of our tier list of Dragon Ball so far. And we will catch you guys in the next part. Catch you later.